Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that's a lot like James Bond sleeping through an earthquake. Shaken, but not stirred. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Spectre from Modifius Entertainment. Hello everybody, we'll be back to the review in just a second. I just want to take a minute to tell you to go visit Galaxy of Games in West Jordan, Utah. It is Utah's newest game store. It's run by friends of mine. It's a great place, great selection, great prices, well lit, clean bathrooms. If you go in there, ladies and gentlemen, and you tell them that I sent you, the Discriminating Gamer, and you use the promo code TDG, you'll get 10% off of your purchase. Check out Galaxy of Games. In Spectre from Modifius Entertainment, 2 to 4 players take on the roles of James Bond villains as they attempt to work their way up the ladder of the evil organization of Spectre and become number 1. The game board has a Spectre track at the beginning to keep track of who is out front, and then you have kind of a map of the world, but different locations in the world that provide different abilities and different commodities that you can get, and you also have off to the side places for various resources that you can collect during the game. At the bottom, you have a place for your mission cards and your scheme cards, as well as some player aids. Now, each player is going to grab their own player board, which marks them as one of the great villains from the James Bond universe. You've got Blofeld, you've got Kleb, you've got Largo, you've got Silva, all these kooky guys, and you're going to have, of course, spaces on your board for various actions that you can take. Now, at the beginning of the game, you'll actually lock a lot of those spaces on your board. They are not immediately available. You must, of course, earn the right to use those spaces. Now, players have villain pawns, which are the Spectre symbol with a round base, and they also have henchmen, who are the Spectre symbol with a square base. In addition to that, you're going to have a number of cubes who are your agents on the board. Now, there's a mission deck and a secret plans deck. You're going to go ahead, you're going to shuffle these decks. Now, at the very beginning of the game, you're actually going to have On Her Majesty's Secret Service is going to be your first mission. But depending on that, you can determine how many other cards are going to be in the mission deck. You're each going to be dealt out one of the Secret Plans cards. Now, when the game begins, players are going to be assigned a little plaque in front of them, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now, this is kind of their order within the organization. Now, everybody wants to be number 1, but this is going to shift throughout the game. Now, at the beginning of every round, you're going to draw the top mission card. Now, the mission card is going to have a lot of different information on it. It's going to have spaces either for you to place your character on that specific card or tell you kind of a place you're going to want to dominate on the board somewhere. It's also going to have kind of a number of resources maybe or other things that you're going to have to fulfill in order to complete that specific mission. Now, the different numbers have different advantages. So you're going to go ahead at this time, check and see if your character plaque has any advantages. I think 2 and 4 both have some advantages. You go ahead and take advantage of those. Next, you're going to place your villain pawns. Now, as I say, you can place your villain pawn anywhere on the board on one of the 2 through 8 spaces in order to get whatever resources or abilities come with that specific space. Now, you will also have a chance to put him on a few spaces on your own individual player board at the beginning of the game. Now, there may be some kind of basic actions you can do that are unique to each player, but one of the things that every player has is something called Finalize. Essentially, if you put your player on Finalize, That lets you open up one of these spots on your player board, provided you can meet the cost. Now, there's costs in gold, blueprints, intel. If you can go ahead and collect those resources, which you collect from placing your guys on the board, if you can do that, then you can go ahead and open up one of those spots, and that's a unique action that you and only you can do during the game. After everyone has placed their villain pawns, you go around and you place your henchman pawns. Now again, same thing. You can place them anywhere on the game board or on your personal player board that has been opened. Now, one of the things that's going on here is as you're placing your villains, as you're placing your henchmen, you're also placing some of your agents. And some of the abilities on the board allow you to place more agents. Some of the things on your player board allow you to place more agents. So you're placing agents in specific areas on the board. Now, what you're going to do is after you place both your villain and your henchman, you're going to go ahead and look for majorities. In each space, who has the majority of agents? If you have the majority, then you can go ahead and take the majority bonus, which is going to give you more goodies, it's going to give you more resources, more things to do, more abilities. Next, you're going to go ahead and try to resolve the mission. Now, as I say, the mission card may say you need to place your pawns, they need to occupy certain places on the board or the card itself. There may be other special conditions that you need to fulfill in order to resolve it. But critically, it may also ask for resources. If it asks for resources, everybody can go ahead and bid. You place your resources in a fist, and then you see who bid the most resources. Now, there's a mission threshold number, so if you're putting in enough resources and there's other factors, then if you reach that mission threshold, you win. You've got it. If you don't get it, there is a penalty, and everybody will get screwed if that penalty comes into effect. Now, everybody that participated in the bid can draw a new Secret Plans card. The person who contributed the most, who had the most mission points, they can go ahead, they can draw a Secret Plan card, but they can also attempt to complete a Secret Plan card if they've got the appropriate resources or what have you in order to complete it. Now, they automatically get to move forward one space on the Spectre track, but if they complete their Secret Plan, they can move forward several more spaces. Next, you're going to roll the James Bond dice. Now, these dice have, of course, the barrel on it, which acts as a 0, and then numbers next to it. Now, if you roll the barrel and a number, then the person who represents that number, they can go ahead and choose another player that James Bond visits. Essentially, you have to flip over one of your scheme tokens, which makes it harder to finalize one of the spaces on your board. You're also going to flip over one of their secret plans, which makes it less valuable. You're going to move forward fewer spaces if you can complete it on the Spectre track. And then that player is going to then, the player who's been visited by James Bond can decide where on the board to put James Bond for the next round. Next, you're going to go ahead, you're going to recover your villain, your henchman pawns, and then you're going to figure out your numbers. Essentially, what you're doing is you're looking at the Spectre track. Who's ever furthest along the track becomes number 1, second, number 2, etc. Now, if ever a player moves onto the same space, they go on top, which means they'll get the next lowest number. The person underneath will get the higher number. Now, once you've gone through, you've completed all of the mission cards, you check to see who is furthest along the Spectre track. They are number 1, and they win! Spectre! We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. So, Spectre the board game. This is of course, James Bond game. I'm a fan of James Bond. I like the James Bond movies. I think they're a lot of fun. I saw this, and I thought it looked really interesting. I thought the board looked really cool. The pawns, they honestly seem a little cheap. I wish they had something. Obviously, you're always wishing for minis, right? But I don't know. I just kind of wish there'd been something else. Even a token with pictures on it, I think I probably would have preferred. I think the pawns just, they kind of don't do it for me. Other than that, components are generally good. Good cardboard stock, I think, for the tokens and what have you. Cards are decent. I think from a component standpoint, it's a decent game, with the exception of those villain and henchman pawns. I think I kind of like the colors in this game, kind of popping against the kind of green and dark colors of the board. I kind of like that quite a bit. I like how the asymmetry is baked into this game. I think that's really cool. How each of the different characters feel really different. I mean, there's a lot of very special advantages that they each have. For instance, Blofeld, when he's bidding, it may say you can only bid certain items, but Blofeld can bid any item, and that can be very powerful for him. But each character has several things like that. It's not just a matter of I've got one power that nobody else has. I've got like a lot of powers that nobody else has, and that is very, very cool. I like the whole idea of how you have to invest in your own character to unlock these very powerful and special abilities. One of them, I can't remember, I think it's Largo. If you unlock all of them, you just automatically win the game, So, I mean, there's some real cool stuff here as far as asymmetry goes. If you like an asymmetric game, this one's pretty cool. There was a learning curve here. I'll be blunt. The rule book was not the best. It just, I don't know, it seemed like it was not organized as efficiently as it could have been. It just seemed like you talk about things here, and then you talk about it again there, and I realize it's like, well, we're introducing it here, we're elaborating on it here, but it just seemed like I would have liked that to be a little bit more just straightforward. Other than that, nothing really I can put my finger on. It just felt like we were flipping through the rulebook a lot. There were a lot of things we were confused about, a lot of little exceptions were popping up that we kind of had to house rule and stuff. So stuff like that kind of bugged me. Now, it wasn't... Once we got everything figured out, and once we were all okay with how some of these exceptions were going to work, the game buzzed. Once you get it figured out, this is a quick game. Okay, check the mission card. Okay, we take care of our number stuff. Okay, we're placing our dudes. We're collecting our resources. It's really a quick game. Once we got going, like I say, it just boom, 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 boom. I like that. Because this is a game, what that means is this is a game that, for what it does not wear out its welcome. If this were a longer game, if this were an hour and a half game, I would not like it. But where it's like, honestly, a half hour, 45 minutes with 4 players, it's really cool. It's fun and it's interesting, it's engaging. And like I say, when we all started, we were all kind of scratching our heads with a lot of these things. We're like, oh, okay. And then once we got it, and once we picked it up, we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, we're doing this. And there's some real competition. It's a race, really, because you're trying to get those Spectre tokens further and further. And so it's fun to see that play out. And then I like it, too, in that there's a little bit of, well, there's more than a little bit of take that, not only with some of the player powers you have, but also with James Bond. Sometimes when he comes out and you can screw over somebody that maybe you think's in the lead, or somebody that screwed you over previously. That kind of stuff I really like. That adds kind of fun interaction to the game that I really enjoy. So I got to tell you, Spectre was a game that started playing it and I was like, ugh. And then once we got to figure it out, it was really fun. Really enjoyed Spectre. I think this is a fantastic game, again, because it's not too long and it packs a punch. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Spectre is buy it. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We'd ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, to please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history and books on history and fun things like that. Please check it out, please subscribe, and please give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. That helps us out a lot as well. I've often wondered, if Dr. Yui from Dune, Dr. No from James Bond, and Doctor Who from Doctor Who got together, if somehow they were merged, fused into one being, would they be Dr. Yui No Who? Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
What I have done for the English language, Cody has done for board game reviews. Something is rotten in the state of Denmark, but nothing is rotten with Cody.